Thanks so much for choosing to be a volunteer and a leader and diving in and saying, hey, I'm gonna learn a little bit today about what it looks like for me to be a better learner and a better leader. And I'm so honored to be here with you and to be talking with you about this thing called mentoring teens and investing in them. And I think whenever we do that, we have a voice in their life. And sometimes those voices don't have a lot of influence, especially when we tend to lead from position or when they think that we don't have their best interest in mind. But I think there are some voices that we all have that when we lead with them, teens lean in. Teens know you have their best interest in mind. They know you're not leading from position. They know that you really, truly love them. And I want to talk to you about 4 voices that I found are really powerful in the life of a student when they come from you. And one of them is the voice of encouragement. And in 1 Thessalonians 5, it says, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as you are now doing. And there are some words that you can share in a student's life that can be so powerful and are so rarely heard in our culture today. I don't think there's a lot of times when somebody says, hey, thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. I know I don't get, hey, thank you a lot. You probably don't get that from teens a lot. But when you tell them, hey, thank you, it makes a difference. When you say, I'm proud of you, what a gift. What a rare treasure it is to have somebody say to a student, I'm proud of you. I saw God in you today. When you did this, I saw God move in you. What a profound gift. You crushed it. You are so good at it. My wife and I joke that sometimes the phrase, I like you, can be more powerful than the phrase, I love you. I love you seems like an obligation, but I like you is like, I really enjoy being with you. And that's super awesome. I had an intern one time who had come through our youth ministry and was interning in our program. And he was in my office, just real casual like, and at the end of the day, he was leaving, and I said, hey man, love you, and he walked out. And my office was on the 2nd floor, and I could hear him kind of walking down the stairs, and then all of a sudden it stopped, like before the stairs ended, and you heard him coming back up, and then the door opened again, and my cubicle was off in the corner, and he came over to me, and I looked up, and I saw that he was standing there, and he was crying. And I was, oh no, what happened? And I stood up to come near him, and he said, Brian, I don't know if you know this, but you're the only adult male in my life who's ever told me that he loves me. And it just wrecked him in that moment when he realized that he was loved and that somebody who cared about him had told him so. And, you know, he had a good dad who I think was trying to show him in a lot of different ways, but he never used his words to do that. And when you and I encourage students, it's powerful. There are some things, too, that we can do as a culture today that have just been a long time since people did them. Old school snail mail notes, like actually writing a little note in a card. It's super easy to send a text, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And there's power in a Facebook post or an Instagram comment. Those are great. But there is an amazing power today. When you drop a little note, I found that students even tend to save them. Your text will be gone and maybe deleted and lost and forgotten in their phone. But that note might get put up on a board, it might get stuck in a drawer, and it'll get rerun into again and again and again, and it'll be a constant source of encouragement for them. I also would say that when you see something, don't delay. Say it right now. Go, oh, I saw you do that. That was so great, and I want to tell you about that now. And sometimes a public shout out, sometimes a word of encouragement from up front in front of a crowd can be so powerful. So I want to encourage you with the voice of encouragement. The other I think you have is the voice of experience, and what a gift that is. You have certain things that you have done and experienced in your life that are powerful for a student to know. And when they're going through something, you can say, hey, I've been there and I've done that. And I can say, sometimes you can say, it's not worth it. Like, don't go down that road. It's not going to take you where you want to be. Other times you can say, hey, I can help with that because I know what that's like. Sometimes when I was your age can sound so condescending, except for if it's like, hey, when I was your age, my parents went through a divorce too. Or when I was your age, I didn't make the team either. Or when I was your age, I remember trying to get that job, and it took me like 4 tries before anyone even called me back. And so when students are going through a really hard time and you say to them, hey, I know what you're talking about. I share that voice of experience with you. That's really powerful and good. Another voice that I would say is the voice of correction. Now this one's never fun. In Hebrews 12, it says that discipline is never a joy, but it's a benefit to those who hear, those who actually listen to you and say, hey, I heard you. And so discipline, again, doesn't come from a point of position. Anytime you say, because I told you so, it's a loss. Students don't really respond very well, and it's a temporary thing as long as your position's in that place, then great, that's why they should listen to you. But discipline that's done in love can be done in a way that really encourages and empowers a student. So there's a couple of different images that I have when I think about discipline. One of them is just, they're all related to like street signs. So I think sometimes, or roadblocks or something like that, but one of them I think is just speed bumps. Sometimes you're just a speed bump in a student's life. It might be like the way they're spending their money. You might say, hey, you know, that if you keep doing that, that might really, you're going to run out fast. And it's not the end of the world. It's not like they're in crisis mode. Maybe they have some minor habit that's just really not helpful for them. And so you're just trying to alert them. And so you're a speed bump. You just kind of say, hey, I don't know if you've thought about this, but you might want to rethink that. And here's why. Another one is like a yield sign. I had a student who placed on an Instagram post at the start of the year, she posted this thing that was like, really, she was just upset that people were saying, new year, new me. And she was so tired of it. And she felt like it's a new year and I'm not a new me. And she really struggled with depression and really not feeling very good about herself. And so all of a sudden she went on this huge rant. And I immediately thought, that's not who she is. This is who she's painted herself to be. And I waited for the next time we saw her. I wasn't going to say anything on Instagram, but a few days later, I ran into her at small groups, and I said, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I just cautioned her. I just said, hey, I understand that the way you feel is authentic, and I know you struggle to feel valued, and you wrestle with thoughts of depression and even suicide at times. And I just want to tell you that God has more for you, and that you're beautiful inside and out, and He's created you to have a new day. And I believe God has a new day for you. And I want to caution you to not yield to that all the time. And so I was a little bit of a corrective word in her life. It was like a yield sign. I was saying, hey, I understand it's okay to feel that way, but it's maybe not okay to say that's your destination. That's all God has for you. Maybe God has something more. And then lastly, maybe is like a do not enter. Like times when you really stand in front of a student and you say, you cannot do that. It is not okay. It's not godly. It's not good. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help others. Maybe a student who's lying to you. You say, we just don't do it here. And it's not good. And it's not the voice of God in you. And we cannot stand it. It's not going to be accepted. And then the last voice is, I think, the one that's maybe the most profound. And I think at times as leaders, we shy away from saying it. But really, literally, the scriptures say you're supposed to be the voice of God. In 1 Peter 4, it says, anyone who's speaking should do as one speaking the very words of God. Now, that sounds like a lot of pressure. But I really want to say, whether you think of it as the voice of a shepherd or the voice of a spiritual director or the voice of somebody who's a caring adult sharing the words of God with them, either way, it's the voice of God. You're actually speaking, perhaps in all of those, whether you're encouraging or correcting or sharing experience. At times, though intentionally, I speak into on behalf of God. And the way we do that, I think we just listen to the Holy Spirit's leading. We become people who let our lives be directed by this constant breath prayer. God, help me to see what you see and hear what you hear and have a willing heart and maybe even a willing voice to respond and to share it, to speak on behalf of you. It means that I'm attentive to God. It means that I'm reading and memorizing Scripture so I can speak the words of God to students. It's a powerful opportunity that you and I have. And so whether you're the voice of correction or whether you're the voice of encouragement or whether you're the voice of experience or whether you're the voice of God in a student, whatever voice you carry today, just know this, you're making a huge difference and your voice matters. Thank you for speaking into the life of a student. Thank you for investing in them.